Good morning, everybody. We'll get going here in just 1 minute. Here in just 1 minute. All right, it is Tuesday, January 31st, 9 a.m. Eastern. This is a normal live stream of what we usually do, making it public as a bit of an open house today. So putting this on YouTube and on TradingView, and a little bit of insight as to what we do for pre-market prep and the market trading day after the bell rings. So we're going to stream until 10:30 a.m. Eastern today. And usually the routine is I go through the major sectors and things that I'm watching. And then at 10 a.m. after the morning is settled in, I take some requests from ChartGuys members. So we have a bullish reaction here pre-market to some market data that came out at 8:30 a.m. And it's really shifting the tone of the morning a good bit, because 2 hours ago, we were looking for gap down opens on many names as we had a lot of weakness. And we've seen a 1% bounce over the last couple of hours. So that drastically shifts what I'm looking for on the morning, because it gives us all this space. This is the S&P 500 futures chart, and I was watching this downtrend channel through the morning, and obviously we're breaking bullish above it now, but we're looking at a strong test of daily EMA 12 support, and essentially we're looking back at last week on January 25th, and we're saying, is this going to be the same as what we saw back on January 25th? A couple days of consolidation, a bounce off EMA 12 into continuation. Obviously, we know we have tech sector earnings and FOMC on Wednesday, which are going to be the real deciding factors as to whether we get bullish continuation or not. But we are bouncing off daily EMA 12, and it's a big enough bounce where I'm going to be scouting an hourly higher low as the result of next consolidation. So we're going to be watching the 5-minute uptrend on the morning. And once that 5-minute uptrend is lost, we're going to zoom out and watch for that hourly higher low. And then it's up to the bulls to confirm the hourly uptrend on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ for the bulls to start to get confident that the daily higher low is being set. And we look at the NASDAQ and it's the same thing. Solid bounce. Have to confirm the hourly uptrend, but there is an amount of space now to look for that hourly higher low. The bell could ring. We could drop 1% and still be looking for an hourly higher low on the NASDAQ. So it's essentially the bullish reaction pre-market is giving the bulls cushion to work with, where they now have that space. The dollar saw some bullish action overnight, but we're pulling back with this broader market bounce. I'm watching the 4-hour support on the dollar as a little level to be keeping an eye on. And again, the daily chart is not really doing much bigger picture at this point. So daily EMA 12, we're still battling that. We know we're going to have to confirm a daily uptrend in the dollar if we're going to see significant bounce follow through. And so if I'm a broader market bull, I want to see the dollar continue to give us weakness after this short-term little 2-day bounce that we've seen here. The metals had weakness on the morning. They have significantly recovered. Gold trying for a bit of a V-shaped bounce. Same thing as the broader market, though. We do have to confirm hourly uptrends if we're going to see a significant shift hold back for the bulls. We've got the daily EMA 12 support, which has been holding for a significant period of time, and the bulls are attempting to maintain that. We've got a little support level down at 1896. So again, same thing, plenty of space for an hourly higher low to try and form once this bounce does top out. That said, if you want to be a bear, you can also be looking for a lower high compared to 1927. So there are aggressive bears. Let's go back to the S&P 500. There are aggressive bears that are going to be watching for entries that they can look to make for that hourly consolidation on the morning. And we do have the 15-minute and the 5-minute RSI both overextended on this reaction. So aggressive bears are looking for hourly consolidation, and more patient bulls are looking for hourly higher lows as a result of that consolidation. Silver, still holding support, 22.75, still fairly sideways and range bound. Same thing on the hourly, solid bounce. Bulls must confirm the hourly uptrend for regaining that control. And the miners, daily uptrend still intact as long as 31.21 support holds. I'm looking at GDX for the miners here. And pre-market, we are above that level. So an aggressive miner bull is going to look to try and bottom fish 31.21. Oil, trying to bounce as well. Much less significant of a bounce. Still overall weakness. I'm watching the 4 hour for oil with a lot of space for a 4 hour lower high to be the result of the next bounce. The energy sector has a key support level in play. First thing, 88.38 is our daily higher low, and we are currently pre-market at 88.81. So we're going to test that level first thing. Natural gas, still weak. It just keeps dropping to lower lows. I'm watching a 4 hour falling wedge. I talked about this in the broader market video yesterday, but I don't have any confidence. And I'm personally not going to trade this falling wedge. I'm just using it as a visual guide. And I'm watching to see if we break bull, that'll get my attention. So essentially, I'm not going to try and play it bullish while we're in this pattern. If we break this pattern bullish, then I start to keep an eye out for a potential longer term bullish entry that I like. But again, the 12 hour time frame for natural gas, EMA 12 has been resistance pretty much for 6 weeks in a row at this point. And so until that changes, not going to see bulls prove anything to us. So I have a longer term mindset for natural gas. If I'm going to be interested in it, it's going to be for a weekly bounce. And so that means I don't really care nearly as much about the hourly and the 4 hour time frames if I'm more zoomed out looking at that weekly chart. Crypto bulls bouncing overnight, a little bit of relative strength because stock futures dropped to a lower low overnight when Bitcoin did not. The bounce on Bitcoin 4 hour time frame at this point is about 50% retracement. So that shifts things where we were looking at the potential of a bear flag 3 hours ago. And now because we're getting some more bounce follow through, we're starting to look for the equilibrium. So it doesn't change that Bitcoin is still looking for a 4 hour lower high compared to 24,000, but it does change. Again, it creates the space. Same thing as the broader market. We now have the space to scout a 4 hour higher low attempt versus 22.5 thousand. And the bulls have a base of support here on Bitcoin where we've got a double bottom at 22.3 and now a double bottom at 22.5. And so this is our key support zone that's trying to keep the bulls in full control of the daily time frame with daily EMA 12 support. And the best case for the bulls here on Bitcoin today would be a daily inside bar. And that would just essentially mean bears failing to confirm a 4 hour downtrend. We talked about this on the live stream, the crypto live stream yesterday. It's a nice drop, but if we're going to head to 4 hour oversold, we likely need to see a 4 hour downtrend confirm. And the bulls are doing everything they can here to negate from that 4 hour downtrend confirming. So now we're going to look at some individual names. Let's start off with the crypto stocks, and we're going to look at big tech names. And then we'll check in on some AI stocks that I'm keeping an eye on for today. But first off, these crypto names, a lot of weakness yesterday. Pre-market, we're seeing strength. And the strength is coming from, obviously, the broader market and Bitcoin bullish reaction to pre-market data. So Riot here, I have a runner short still in Riot, where I day traded it yesterday and then exited 3/4 of that position, still in a quarter position. And so giving back some profit with the higher open here. But we can look at the Riot individual chart, and we can do this for a lot of names, which we will do in just a moment. But we can say anything under the high of yesterday is an hourly lower high. And so again, if you're looking to be an aggressive bear on the morning, you're scouting the hourly lower highs to be the result of this morning's strength. If you're looking to be a bull, I personally would be a bit patient to be scouting an hourly higher low off of the low of yesterday. And that same setup that is present on Riot is going to be present on a lot of individual names. So for me personally, I know my trading results are way better in the, if you took the hour of 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. and you compare it to 10:30 to 11:30, I'm a much better trader 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. So I know it has to be a really juicy setup for me to take it first thing. Otherwise, I take the more patient route. So I know that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for an hourly lower high, but I'm going to be more interested in hourly higher low attempts later in the day unless I see a very, a setup that essentially hits me in the face with clarity to be looking short on the morning. So again, it's the kind of thing where, you could take two different people and I could say to them, what are you looking to do today? And one of them could say, I'm looking short, and the other could say, I'm looking long. And I would say both setups are absolutely valid. Looking short for an hourly lower high, and then looking long to try and set up an hourly trend change. And if we just compare that, and let's just look at MARA real quickly, same sector, anything under the high of yesterday is an hourly lower high. There's a lot of space for that to form, but we are also about 5% above the low of yesterday. So again, shaping up potential equilibriums is what it boils down to. And so if we look at something like Apple, I would call anything under the high of yesterday an hourly lower high. And that high of yesterday was up in the 145s. So that's still a ways away. So if I'm an aggressive bear, I'm scouting an inability to break the high of yesterday on the morning. And then a bull is going to be watching for a higher low versus the low of pre-market. The low of yesterday is definitely a support level we want to keep an eye on, but lows of pre-market are also support levels we're going to be watching due to the size of the bounce we've seen in extended hours here. And we have to keep in mind a lot of these names are looking for daily higher lows. Apple, my ideal setup today, I wanted to see hourly oversold conditions. I wanted to see all our lead bulls from last week, Apple and NVDA and Tesla. I wanted to see all of them hit first hourly oversold conditions, looking for a daily higher low because that's our back burner setup. But I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that with this pre-market move. So I have to adjust, but I'm still looking for Apple to set a daily higher low, anything above 138.81. Obviously, earnings are going to be a factor later in the week, but we look at Amazon. Amazon, anything above 91.52 is a daily higher low. So we zoom into the hourly for Amazon, and we can see Amazon has relative strength pre-market. How can I say it has relative strength? We didn't break the low of yesterday, whereas most tech names that we're about to run through did. So I'm looking at Amazon testing resistance of 101.40, and its high of yesterday is in play this morning first thing, 101.74. So that's showing me relative strength out of Amazon and potentially a lead bull to be keeping an eye on. And just as a comparison, you compare that to NVDA. Look at NVDA. It's a night and day difference. Its high of yesterday is nowhere near in play right now. It's all the way up towards 200s. And we have a lot of space for that hourly lower high. So when I'm running through charts and preparing for the morning and things I want to look at, if I'm looking at bullish, I am putting Amazon on my list. And if I'm looking bearish, I'm putting NVDA on the list because of how drastically the setups are different here. So NVDA is going to test its low of yesterday first thing down at 191.50. Then we're going to look at the low of pre-market. 187.65 is the next support level after that. But again, if we're talking about, if I want to enter a bearish trade and risk and reward, well, Amazon is up near its high of the day and NVDA is nowhere near it. So the probability that NVDA is going to form an hourly lower high as a result of this morning bounce is much higher. So we want to zoom in and use the short-term time frames as a guide to scout the hourly lower high. So I'm keeping an eye on NVDA, and right now pre-market, it's potentially shaping up a little rising wedge. Yesterday, first thing on the morning, a QQQ 2-minute rising wedge marked the high of the day, and then the bears took over from there. So an aggressive bear is looking for the potential of bearish patterns shaping up on the short-term time frames to indicate that the hourly lower high is shaping up. So Amazon a bit stronger, NVDA a bit weaker. Microsoft in the middle of the road here. Its high of day is still a bit of a ways away, 245.60, and pretty much right in the middle of yesterday's range. So it has less clarity for me, so I probably won't be looking to trade it. Man, Microsoft for me is more of a swing trade anyways, but again, just showing the different variations of similar setups. They're all very similar on their hourly, but there are some notable differences when we zoom in for the details. Meta. So again, you look at the Meta daily chart, it's extremely strong. A daily high or low is the most likely result of this pullback. And we look at the hourly, and we can say hourly, there's a little bit of a resistance zone, 148.80s and 148.60s. It's not enough for me to call it an hourly lower high, but I can see 3 hourly candles rejected from that resistance level yesterday midday. So first thing this morning, that's a resistance level to be watching. It's not the high of yesterday that's coming into play, but there is a resistance level to be keeping an eye on. And again, if I'm going to be looking bullish on Meta, I want to see bulls control the morning, and then I want to look for the hourly higher low compared to the low pre-market for the bulls to try and set up that hourly trend change. Netflix, I've been talking about Netflix as a lead bear for me since this past weekend. And the reason is a number of reasons. Number one, it's bounced over 100%. Number two, I'm scouting it for a monthly lower high and a tightening monthly range. And I'm watching for the Netflix divided by QQQ ratio chart, which shows us relative strength or weakness relative to the NASDAQ. I'm watching for that to set a monthly lower high as well. So there's only just the first little baby signs of topping out, but it's still not significant. So I would need to see Netflix, which is likely to form a higher low compared to 313s, pull back enough for me to then scout a daily lower high as a result of the next bounce. Similar to back here, big enough pullback, scout the lower high. We didn't get much bear follow through, but that's the kind of setup that I'm watching for. So I'm not looking bearish on Netflix in the short term because a daily higher low is the most likely scenario for me. But I know that I'm watching for bigger picture, a bearish entry on the longer term mindset sometime in Q1 2023. So I just stick to the daily time frame and I watch for the details that correlation is shifting. And again, it would be Netflix divided by QQQ. If that chart loses the daily uptrend or confirms a daily downtrend, that's going to be very notable to me. And the best example we have of something similar, Tesla divided by QQQ. I keep using this as an example because of how good it was. All bull, relative bull. And as soon as we confirm this downtrend, Tesla started falling apart. So watching for relative strength to turn into relative weakness. But in the short term for Netflix, we're looking for the daily higher low. Same thing on the hourly. Anything under the high of yesterday, I'd be watching for an hourly lower high. We're going to test the low of yesterday first thing. Any name that breaks its low of yesterday, look to the low of pre-market as the next support level to be keeping an eye on. So that's what we're watching on tech. And again, QQQ, keeping an eye out for signs of topping out on the hourly. Still a 5-minute uptrend, still fairly strong. We looked at NVDA, Tesla. So Tesla, daily inside bar yesterday. So officially, daily consolidation is not underway just yet. We zoom into the hourly, we're likely to break this inside bar bearish. We are currently set up for a small gap down open. So Tesla is a name that does have the potential to hit hourly oversold conditions today. If we break 166.50, which is likely, we look to 161.17 and then 154.76, just the low of Monday and Friday. Today's Tuesday. Yep, that makes sense. So if we see a leg down on the morning, hourly RSI is going to be approaching oversold. And my ideal scenario when I'm playing a back burner hourly oversold bounce is having the 15-minute, the 5-minute, and the hourly all align oversold together. And then if I'm an aggressive bull, I start scaling in to some positions into that weakness. If I want to be a little bit more patient, I look for some signs that a bottom is being set, so I then have a stop loss to play off of. And I can say to myself, either that is the low and we're about to see the hourly oversold bounce, or I'm wrong and I want to stop out. So those are two very different styles, and it all depends on, what style you prefer. I know traders that prefer both styles. It just depends on their aggressiveness and how comfortable they are playing oversold bounces. But if Tesla breaks the low, pretty much we can say Tesla has to break the low pre-market, 163.30, to head to hourly oversold conditions. But again, we're positioned a bit with a bearish correlation because we're near the low of pre-market. We're not really benefiting from this market bounce over the last hour. And any pullback on QQQ is likely to see Tesla break its low pre-market. And again, you just compare that to Amazon. It's just such a significant difference in terms of how we're set up on the morning. Amazon has to drop 2% to get to the low of yesterday, whereas Tesla has a small gap down open shaping up. So again, the pre-market prep, we want to identify who's showing us relative strength, who do I want to be watching if the market bulls prove control to me on the day, and who's showing me relative weakness to be watching for if the market bears take back over after this bounce. And so Tesla is still on the bear side, watching for hourly oversold conditions. And we can also use those hourly oversold conditions as a bear. If you're a swing trading Tesla bear, that's a potential target that you have, looking for first hourly oversold conditions to then take your profit, and then you can decide to look to play for a bounce or not. It's up to you. But we know that the next time Tesla bounces on the hourly, anything under the high of yesterday is an hourly lower high. There's a lot of space for that to form. A couple AI names that I'm watching. So I put out the AI sector video over the weekend, and I'm starting to curate my watch list here and definitely eliminating a lot of names because of whether they're a penny stock, whether they don't have enough volume. So for example, I was going through my list here and I pulled up, who was it? It was INOD. So INOD, I like this daily chart. I'm looking for a daily high or low to be the result of consolidation. I'm looking for potential hourly oversold conditions to scout that daily high or low. And then I zoom in and say, wait a minute. Yesterday, we had $5,000 of volume in an entire hour. That's nowhere near meeting my criteria for liquidity for something that I'm going to trade. So I remove it from the list. I have no interest in this name. But there are names that I am interested in. One thing to note with the AI sector, and I talked about this over the weekend video, but it's not the same setup as crypto hype or cannabis hype. What's the difference? During crypto hype and cannabis hype, you had the stock market at all-time highs and no fear. You had the individual names at all-time highs, and that's allowed for them to go hundreds of percent or thousands of percent. With AI, we have a market that is unsure and still a bit shaky and not at all-time highs, and we have all these individual names. You go down the list, look at their daily charts. Look at how much overhead resistance all these names have. There are bag holders, not all of them, but in many of them, there are years of bag holders that we have to work through. That's a supply of overhead resistance and shares that are going to be counterbalancing any kind of breakout move attempt. So it's not the same setup for me. Yes, there's hype around AI, but this is not a blue sky euphoria sector by any means. And it's worth paying attention to the sector, absolutely, because there will be trading opportunity. But again, this is not your blue sky euphoria market where money is growing on trees like cannabis and crypto has been in the past. So just make note of those very clear macro differences. And that may change, a year down the road, who knows? But as far as setups that I'm watching for on individual names, AI is a ticker that has plenty of dollar volume, hundreds of millions, and it's seen a breakout. So we have gotten to the highest prices we've seen in a few months. Big pullback yesterday, keeping an eye out. Well, never mind. It's a lot different looking than it was an hour ago. Keeping an eye out for hourly oversold, but I don't know if news just hit at 9 a.m. or what, but you can see we're up 10% from 30 minutes ago. So inside bar is holding support, and now it's going to be trying to test resistance, 1118. So essentially still within this sideways range, but bulls are fending off daily consolidation. Let's see if that's individual to AI or if it's specific to all these names. Frog is another one I'm watching. Looking for the daily high or low after a significant bull move. Again, getting to the highest prices in months. There is a double top at 26.98 to be aware of, but it's another name where if we continue this consolidation, I will be watching for an hourly oversold bounce. And I'm watching for a daily high or low. So it's not necessarily a trade I'm looking for here, in the first 2 hours of the morning. I'm just establishing things that I'm going to be watching this week for a trade that may present itself and come to me, or it may not. And if it doesn't, I just ditch it and go on to the next one, which is why I'm constantly looking for setups that may fit my criteria, but also may not. There's a gap to fill on Frog at 25.30. If we were to drop down to 25.30, we would be starting to approach hourly oversold conditions. But we'll be looking for daily higher lows on Frog as well. BZFD, the name that started all this AI hype the past couple of days, inside bar yesterday. Pre-market, we're going to test the low of yesterday this morning, it looks like, 267. If we hold 267 at the open and bounce, anything under 366 is just an hourly lower high, and we're essentially watching for two things, either hourly oversold conditions or watching for a bullish setup on the hourly. So if we see a big bull move on the morning, I'm going to scout an hourly high or low compared to 267 for the bulls to try and confirm the hourly uptrend to regain their control. And RBOT is the other one that I'm watching, just because it's nice and tight. High, low, lower high. Anything above 251 is another daily high or low. And so this is not the same setup as far as a breakout name, scouting a daily high or low, but nice tightening ranges give us clear levels to play off of. And if we were to see a volume spike and a move up towards 292 and 304 resistance, this could potentially be, a laggard move, essentially a name that has not really participated very significantly on this breakout. But again, you go back here and pretty much the entire history of this stock is bag holders. So you just have to keep that in mind. If, you go from 250 to 350, oh my God, huge gains, absolutely. But then you got thousands of people who are now back to break even. And so their shares being sold adds some downward pressure, and it stifles the euphoria momentum that a blue sky breakout allows for, which is why blue sky is extremely powerful, and the vast majority of AI names are nowhere near blue sky breakout. So that just tempers my aggressiveness, essentially. So we'll keep an eye on those AI names as well. Checking back in. Right now, this is a Fidelity screen that you're looking at. This is how I monitor all the setups. So I am going to be looking to exit some Riot short early on the morning. Looking at our sectors, I can see the XLF. Again, the major sectors that I care most about, XLF, XLV, QQQ. I can see QQQ, low of yesterday, is going to be in play. We're currently less than $1 above it. XLV, low of yesterday, is going to be in play first thing. XLF has a little bit more cushion to work with. We're about 0.5% above the low of yesterday. So if the bears are going to prove a solid win to us on the morning, they need to see all of those major sectors break their lows of yesterday. And if only, say, QQQ does, but XLF does not, then that's going to be notable to me that, okay, QQQ's got some weakness, but it's not a market-wide sell-off kind of day if XLF is holding its low of yesterday. So I spend a lot of the first 20, 30 minutes of the morning just staring at these sectors and watching who's stronger, who's weaker. Are we seeing all sectors at the high of the day at the same time, at the low of the day at the same time? And that helps give me clues as far as the direction to be looking on the morning. And again, then I've got some names laid out for bull and bear. I've got Amazon or some other names on the bull side. I've got some names on the bear side. And so once these major sectors show to me, what they're doing on the morning, then I can lean in and focus on one of those directions more than the other. So if we're looking at this setup right now, heading into the open in 3 minutes, we've got QQQ consolidating. And if I'm a bear, what I want to see as an ideal open is the bell ringing. We bounce up here. We reject from the high of pre-market. I can make a top fish bearish entry, and we confirm a 5-minute downtrend. If that were to happen, that would be the first indication of hourly consolidation shaping up. So I'm watching the 5-minute trend as a guide, and I check in on SPY. I can see it's doing pretty much the same thing. Not much difference there. I want to check in on Bitcoin because I'm trading Riot, and Bitcoin matters for Riot. So again, Bitcoin, we're going to be looking for a 4-hour tightening range. But same thing, can bears confirm a 5-minute downtrend on Bitcoin to try and make me hold that Riot short a little bit longer? Logging into my account so I can fill out an order to get ready to take at least some of the Riot short off the table on this morning pullback. All right, so now we wait for the open. We're giving back a decent chunk of this move up, so we are creating space for the potential of a 5-minute lower high. Next time we bounce from here, we're going to use the high of pre-market as a key resistance level. And the question here, first thing is, can all of our major sector bears break the lows of yesterday? Amazon, relative strength. Tesla gap down, relative weakness. Anything that's still gapping down has a bit of relative weakness. Gap down on Netflix. A lot of names are going to be testing their low of yesterday first thing. Meta, NVDA. It's a big red candle on Netflix erasing all of that pre-market bounce. And again, another major thing I'm watching, can Tesla break the low pre-market for us to then be scouting an hourly oversold bounce? So again, in a half hour, I'm going to take some ticker requests from TheChartGuys members hanging out in our Slack chat community. I know you're all watching here in our YouTube chat room as well, in the TradingView chat room. There's all kinds of chat rooms going on. You can hear the turkeys in the background. Bring on the open. I'm going to exit a small amount of my remaining Riot short here as we're testing the low of yesterday. And I'm actually just going to exit that whole trade. I don't want to watch Riot right now. I want to be focused on Tesla and some other names. So Riot just held the low of yesterday first thing, so I'm all out that short. Trying to go back to a clean slate here fairly quickly. So QQQ, 5-minute higher low trying to be set here. We're watching the high of pre-market. We have not broken the low of yesterday on QQQ. And we haven't broken the low of yesterday on any of our major sectors right now. If QQQ breaks the high of pre-market, that'll definitely be a little win for the bulls. We can see Amazon's up over 1%, clearly standing out. Meta's up over 1%. So on the stronger side, while Netflix is down 0.5%. So bulls are trying to ensure their control. But we're initially rejecting from the high of pre-market on QQQ. Bears would need a new low of the day on QQQ here, 290.20, for that to be a convincing double top rejection. AI broke the high of yesterday, so inside bar bull break, and we're back in breakout mode here. So AI is definitely a lead bull to be watching, very volatile. So keep that in mind. You have to have nimble fingers, have to use stop losses, but this is a bull runner for the day to be keeping an eye on. Next resistance level is 1888. And so if I want an entry, I have to have a level to play off of. So for AI, I can go to the 1 minute time frame and watch for a support level to be established on the 1 minute, looking for maybe a little 1 minute higher low to try and use as a stop. But right now, the low of the day is 1747. That's way too far away. So I'm not personally going to chase this here, but it's clearly showing us it's a lead bull on the morning. Back in breakout mode. BZFD we can see is much weaker. Just checking in on the sector peers. Frog not doing much. And RBOT not doing much. So definitely AI is the AI focus on the morning. Bulls must form a 1 minute higher low compared to the low of the day. So QQQ still has the double top with the higher pre-market, but we have not hit a new low of the day yet. Tesla's trying to get its bounce going without seeing hourly oversold conditions. So I would say Tesla's hourly bounce is underway, and 173.81 is a resistance level to be watching. Glad I exited my Riot shorts. The bulls controlling the morning first thing. Meta standing out now even more than Amazon for its strength. Meta daily bull flag trying to shape up. High of yesterday for Meta, 151.21 is resistance from here. So QQQ testing the high of pre-market, and we just broke it. So we now have a clear 5-minute uptrend. Low of today is our 5-minute higher low, if we're looking at pre-market as well. And again, this is a really good start to the morning for bulls compared with where we were a couple hours ago. Big difference. Extremely strong move out of Tesla. Same thing as AI. We have to establish some short-term support levels for anyone that didn't enter first thing. Can't be using the low of the day as a stop. That's way too far away, way too much risk. Have to have a closer level nearby to be going off of. AI's 1-minute higher low is 18.21. So that's a key little short-term level as bulls try and see a new high of the day, 18.63. And it just got that new high of the day. Financial sector testing its low of yesterday. And financial sector and QQQ a little bit inverse to each other. Yesterday, XLF was holding on better while QQQ was clearly our lead bear. And now XLF is weaker, testing its low of yesterday, while QQQ is holding on a good bit stronger. So again, we're still keeping an eye out for hourly lower highs on a lot of names. Apple's high of yesterday is nowhere near in play right now. Absolutely an hourly lower high versus the high of yesterday is the most likely scenario. So yes, it's a nice start for the bulls first thing here, but that's not going to sway the hourly setups that we're keeping an eye out for. So we're just looking for signs of QQQ shaping up an hourly lower high, anything under 294.38, which is still 1% away, the high of yesterday. XLF right now, I would consider it a double bottom with the low of yesterday. We only broke it by a penny. Bears want to see more follow through than that. So we're not likely to see Tesla hourly oversold today anymore with the size of this morning move, but we are looking for Tesla to form an hourly lower high as a result of this bounce. NVDA, nice start for the morning bulls, tons of space for an hourly lower high. That's why we have to constantly be cycling around different time frames. Because if you're on the 5-minute time frame and something's looking real bullish on the morning, it's easy to forget the bigger picture hourly setup. Tesla this morning, oh man, it's all bull, huge move. But that doesn't change the hourly setup for the most likely scenario because of how far away from resistance we started the morning. I'm going to be interested in a Riot hourly lower high as well. I'm watching pre-market resistance level up at 630, but tons of space for an hourly lower high compared to 684. And I use QQQ a lot when trading those names, where if I get an indication QQQ is topping out, And that makes me a little bit more confident looking bearish on the crypto stocks. So at this point, we've got to see QQQ hit a new low of the day, 290.20, if they were going to get the first indication of an hourly lower high potentially shaping up. Tesla, we can be watching the 1 minute time frame. We've got AI still in a little 1 minute uptrend. Tesla's trying to set a 1 minute higher low. I also cycle time frames where to start the morning, I'm on the 1 minute and 2 minute time frame. And then once we get to about 10 a.m., I'm on the 5 minute. And then once we get to about 10:30, I'm on the 15 minute, just as we start to get more data on the morning. So I essentially start zoomed in and then I'm constantly zooming out. So if I wanted to be an aggressive Tesla bear, looking for the hourly lower high, I want to see a big enough 1 minute pullback where I can then top fish for a 1 minute lower high, set my stop over the high of the day, and hope we confirm a 1 minute downtrend. 1 minute stair step broke bearish at 168.18. Quick little 1% pullback from that. So QQQ 5 minute consolidation underway. We're heading towards the low of the day. If it holds, we're also shaping up a potential 5 minute head and shoulders. Tesla is now giving back over 50% of this move up. So again, the hourly time frame can be our anti-FOMO and help us from chasing things. QQQ, if we hold the low of the day here, with pre-market levels, it's a potential 5 minute head and shoulders that we'll be keeping an eye on. BZFD, the other AI name, trying to hold the low of yesterday. Held it by 9 pennies so far. Need to confirm a 5 minute uptrend for bulls to start gaining some control there. QQQ defending the low of the day initially. So now when I talk about relative strength and weakness, we've got QQQ testing the high of the day. Look at how far from the high of the day Tesla is. So we started with a surge of relative strength, and now we're seeing a little bit of relative weakness there. Unless Tesla can quickly turn around and see a new high of the day. Because QQQ just saw a new high of the day. And Tesla's still over 1% away. So we got a nice little 5 minute uptrend as our guide on QQQ. If we see no follow through here, we're going to start scouting a rising wedge. There's no head and shoulders because we got to the higher high. So again, I'm just keeping an eye out for bear patterns that can make me more confident that an hourly lower high is shaping up. But I have to see them develop and I have to see a solid risk reward entry. But so far, the fact that we just hit the new high of the day with no follow through is giving me some deja vu with yesterday morning where the bull started with control, but it did form a rising wedge that then rolled over. So an aggressive Tesla bear is going to be watching for a 1 minute or a 2 minute lower high versus the high of the day. Because we've retraced 50% of the morning move. So we know an equilibrium oftentimes is more likely than not once we see that size of a retracement. Wow, AI bulls really taking off. Watch that 1 minute uptrend. That is your guide for complete control on AI on this morning. But it is the runner. Another 1 minute higher low off 1840. Held support by 19 cents. Bull volume poured in. We're looking up to 20 psychological and 2042 as a couple levels. Certainly bringing the hype to the AI world. Let's check the other AI list here. And I can see AI is standing alone. Nobody else is doing this. So we're watching Tesla for a 2-minute lower high next bounce. We've got QQQ with bull breaks that are lacking follow through, having us watch for a rising wedge to potentially shape up an hourly lower high. I'm scouting Riot for an hourly lower high. Definitely rising wedge watch for QQQ. It's acting as a rising wedge would. Bulls trying to hold support. Burden on bears to lose these higher lows and break the low of the day. When playing a runner like AI, you definitely want to take some profit to ensure you've got a cushion. Because again, the last thing you want to do is buy and not have a stop loss and not have discipline. And even just healthy 15-minute consolidation can be a 10% pullback on a name like that. So XLF and XLV, healthcare and financial sector not doing a whole lot. XLV is definitely on Team Bull, and XLF is weaker, still hovering near its low of yesterday. So it's the QQQ show again today, where it's pretty much dictating what the whole market's doing. Amazon up over 2%, so we're breaking the high of yesterday, I believe. Yep. Lead bull from pre-market following through. You'll often find that lead bulls and lead bears from pre-market keep that going through the morning. So now we're looking at 103.49 on Amazon. And that is attempting a daily bull flag. So it's definitely a win for the QQQ bulls, for Amazon, one of the most important individual stocks, to be this strong on its daily chart still. We know we have earnings later this week. So Tesla, we're scouting a 2-minute lower high. A lot of space for it to form. Again, still the relative weakness versus QQQ. And that became recognizable after about 7 minutes of trading on the morning, when QQQ hit a new high of the day and Tesla didn't come close. But the QQQ bulls will keep control as long as these little higher lows remain. We just held short-term support, and now we're back to testing resistance. So we're still seeing bears unable to prove much to us on the morning. So still patiently observing for it. It would definitely be notable if Tesla bulls were able to get a new high of the day from here. But I'm going to be watching for a potential top fish and then a pullback into a 2-minute higher low, watching for the equilibrium setup. AI right back to testing the high of the day, trying to set another quick 1-minute higher low. So new support is 1907. And any bulls that have a runner position, you're just walking up your stop. If you want to be protective of your profits, you're just walking up your stop with every 1-minute higher low. QQQ back to the high of the day. Tesla key resistance test, high of its day, 169.38. Can definitely justify a Tesla top fish, but I'm not going to take it here just because QQQ bulls are keeping their full control. So our weaker names catching up. So Netflix started real weak in the red, but back to the green now. So names trying to join the QQQ bulls. QQQ has a little resistance at 292.63, but I care more about the high of yesterday. AI just hit a new high of the day with a lack of follow through, so that makes the bulls a bit more cautious, watching for potential 5-minute consolidation to shape up. Tesla did get a new high of the day there, so that's a very impressive recovery. To pull back over 50% retracement into the new high of the day, you have to see increasing volume to see that play out, and that's exactly what the bulls have here. So again, still well under the high of yesterday, but that is definitely a nice confidence booster for the Tesla bulls. And that also makes me more patient watching for a QQQ hourly lower high, because Tesla strength's only going to help the QQQ bulls. Amazon very strong, Meta very strong. Still patiently observing Riot for a short. Testing the high of the day, 632. If we reject from that high of the day, I may attempt a Riot short here. So I'm going to grab back the Riot short that I covered first thing and just do a little low risk top fish. Place my stop at 634. So AI bulls losing their short-term momentum, and a red flag was again the new high of the day on the 1-minute time frame, but only by a few pennies, whereas every other high of the day had some solid follow through. So we have lost the 1-minute uptrend, which now has us zoom out and scout a 5-minute higher low. And again, just showing you what this volatility is. Even just this healthy 5-minute consolidation is already a 4% plus pullback. So QQQ still is doing its bull break, no follow through thing. Two-minute time frame here. Need to adjust my trend line just a wee bit. Again, these are just some visual guides. It's more of a channel than a rising wedge at this point, although this 1-minute time frame, let's just go to regular hours action. I'd be watching that. Target for my Riot short, if I don't get stopped out, I'll be looking at 615, 5-minute consolidation. Let's check in on the dollar. I just use it as some clues. Want to see what the dollar is doing. And fairly weak bounce. If we confirm a 15-minute bear flag on the dollar, that's going to be bullish for equities. Bitcoin bulls also up near the high of their morning. If I took a full position on Riot, I'd be out half right now. I took a half position. Posting the ticker request thread in Slack. XLF and XLV pretty flat on the day. Again, really non-event for these two sectors. Riot is approaching my target. Got to see QQQ confirm this short-term rising wedge if that Riot bear play is going to continue playing out. QQQ breaking 291.38 would be the first little short-term win for the bears. And then we would just zoom out and scout a 5-minute higher low to try and form. Keeping an eye on Apple. Apple is definitely one of the weaker QQQ related names on the morning. So right now I got my finger on the sell trigger for Riot, but I'm just seeing how much follow through can the bears put together here because it's now exceeding my target a good bit. All right, we'll lock it in. So that was, I'm trading on the other screen right now just so I don't have to worry about you all seeing my account information and stuff, but filled at 628, out at 610. So 18 cents, almost just about 3%. And again, what was the play there? It was recognizing a bearish pattern potentially forming on QQQ, but more importantly, having a very clear stop level right nearby on Riot. And it was relative weakness. Riot hit the high of the day at 9:45. QQQ hit the high of the day at 9:45, and then the next two 5-minute candles hit a new high of the day, whereas Riot did not. So it started to show me some relative weakness. It gave me a level to play off of. And now you got QQQ confirming this little rising wedge. But it's not a significant win for the bears, just a tiny little win because now we're zoomed out and we're watching the 5-minute higher lows and the 5-minute uptrend. And anything above 290.56 on QQQ is still a 5-minute higher low. And have to see the 5-minute uptrend lost for the hourly lower high to be shaping up. Here's my riot orders to prove I'm not a liar. NVDA back to weakness. New low of the day. Obviously, any name hitting a new low of the day, standing out for that weakness. So NVDA, hourly lower high, looking like it's potentially shaping up. And now we're looking down at the low of pre-market, 187.70 as a support level. AI trying for that 5-minute higher low, still a potential bull flag at this point. 1891 is the current low of consolidation. If that were to remain the low of consolidation, then it is a bull flag. All right, some requests. We got data here right now, 10 a.m. Consumer confidence. Let's see the reaction on that first. QQQ holding 5-minute support. Bears want 290.56 to vary. I mean, Bears just want a new low of the day on QQQ, 290.20. Tesla pulling back again, 5-minute. Shaping up a head and shoulders. We're heading towards support, 165.62. If we hold it, we're going to look for a 5-minute lower high to be the result of the next bounce. So again, some nice pushes up on the 5-minute time frame to start the morning, but it does not change the hourly most likely scenarios. AI 5-minute higher low is set, 1891. That's now a must-hold level. If we were to lose it, we would zoom out and scout a 15-minute higher low. Ticker request, Gala USDT, 4-hour, weaker bounce than Bitcoin. Potential bear flag still in play. Daily chart still strong, so it depends on what time frame you care most about, but daily EMA 12 has been holding for weeks, so the simple statement, if daily EMA 12 continues to hold, the bulls keep their complete control. Today, all the bulls want to do is form an inside bar, just hold the low of yesterday. And of course, another leg up on this 4-hour bounce would create some space for an trend change event, an eventual trend change attempt. But the 4-hour downtrend is our guide as we're watching for a daily higher low to try and form. LAC gap up open and bulls holding those gains with a V-shaped bounce. We have to confirm a 5-minute uptrend still. So we need to hold the low of the day and see a new high. And then we're looking at 24.95, the high of pre-market, as the next resistance level. And the bulls are hoping that the low of today is our hourly higher low. But they've got to confirm the 5-minute uptrend to have that confidence. QQQ lost the 5-minute uptrend, but it did still defend the low of the day. So bears still have a bit of proving to do if the hourly lower high is going to be shaping up. Tesla bear is going to be watching for a potential 5-minute head and shoulders. NVDA, so again, that weakness stood out. Bounce attempt. We have a 5-minute downtrend, and we broke the low of yesterday. So if the bulls are going to prove something to us on NVDA as far as shaping up a daily higher low, we've got to hold the low of pre-market and break the high of the day to confirm an hourly uptrend. So 187.65 is now support, and the bulls need to regain a 5-minute uptrend holding 187.65. We could say there's relative weakness to QQQ because we hit a new low of the day and QQQ did not. So NVDA is positioned well for bears if QQQ does roll over into a new low of the day and hourly consolidation. LABU, I don't chart LABU because it's a leveraged ETF. I chart XBI. It's a really nice 5-minute equilibrium. Anything above 87.76 is a 5-minute high or low. So the bulls need to form another 5-minute high or low and then break this pattern bullish to try and test the recent high of yesterday, $89. And if we break this 5-minute pattern bearish, we're going to be looking back to the low of yesterday. We do have a good amount of space. The bulls started strong, so we do have space where even if this pattern does break bear, we can look for an hourly high or low to try and form compared to the low of yesterday, 86.54. You can see the bounce retracement from yesterday. If we're looking at yesterday's drop and then this morning's bounce, we've made back 90% of that drop. So that creates the space for the hourly high or low. Again, all these concepts that I'm talking about are definitely a bit more advanced if you're in your first year or two, but our YouTube channel has videos on all of this stuff. As far as Fibonacci's is what I just talked about with retracement, or wedges, which is what I was trading with QQQ, or whatever it is, explore our playlists because there is content on it. If QQQ does hold the low of the day here, we're going to be watching for a 5-minute lower high to be a result of the bounce. Coin. Another crypto name, definitely weak. Daily inside bar yesterday, and we're testing that low. It's still holding. It's a second inside bar in a row. But if we break 55.67, we're then watching for hourly oversold conditions. And we're going to watch daily EMA 12 as well from there. So just barely clinging on to support. And again, these crypto names are showing us relative weakness. Riot hit a new low of the day only by a couple pennies, but again, the way that I distinguish just visually, instantly, relative strength and weakness without having to pull up a ratio chart or the correlation chart is just seeing who broke the high of the day before QQQ, who failed to break the high of the day when QQQ did, and who just broke the low of the day when QQQ did not. NVDA did, these miners did. So that's the way that we can visually, quickly distinguish some relative strength and weakness. CVX. I'd be on the 15-minute at this point. Anything under the high of the day is a 15-minute lower high, so potential for a tightening range still. Big drop over the last few days after earnings. And we're testing support 170.85. So that's holding initially, but we're just trying to get a hourly bounce going. And if we do, there's tons of space for an hourly lower high. So if we get the new high of the day, the hourly bounce will be underway. And then anything under the high of yesterday is an hourly lower high. The bulls need to bounce for multiple hours if we're going to create space for a trend change to try and eventually shape up. Checking in on gold. So gold, big bounce, testing resistance 1927. If we start pulling back from here, we're going to look for the hourly high or low. It's definitely a significant enough bounce retracement for an hourly high or low. And then the bulls need to confirm the hourly trend change to prove to us that they can keep holding this daily EMA 12 support that they've been holding for over a month. So we can watch the short-term time frames. Losing 5-minute uptrend would be the first indication of hourly consolidation shaping up. So here's the QQQ bounce. And again, the burden's on bears still. We've got to fail the high of the day and break the low of the day. Same thing with Tesla. If we're going to confirm bears taking over, if we're going to confirm hourly lower highs shaping up, we've got to confirm 5-minute downtrends on these names. So Tesla is technically a 5-minute uptrend. That has to change or the bulls are going to keep control. Tesla, just still going through these requests. So again, if we fail the high of the day and break 166.45, it's a head and shoulders. Burden on bears to prove to us that is what is forming. And QQQ is the same thing, just a little bit different. The right neckline is lower than the left neckline. That's the only real difference. Same burden on bears. AMC, 5-minute equilibrium on the morning. If we break 502, we confirm the 5-minute downtrend to be looking at the low of the day. And then it's the low of yesterday, 495 right behind it. So AMC is looking for an hourly lower high, anything under the high of yesterday, and it's potentially shaping up here on the morning. Same thing as QQQ, potentially shaping up the hourly lower high. Bears have a bit of proving to do. DVN, tons of space for an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. We have a 5-minute uptrend with a new high of the day, but it's a bull break with zero follow through. So we'll keep an eye out to see if a rising wedge type of pattern forms. And at this point, it's an hourly bear flag. I'd say the bulls need to get up towards 63.50 and beyond if we're going to try and see a big enough hourly bounce to create an eventual trend change attempt. QQQ on the verge of confirming the 5-minute head and shoulders. Bulls are doing everything they can to defend the low of the day. And they are still doing so. Prove it, bears. Take out the low of the day. And then we'll zoom out and look at the low of yesterday, which will be in play. Checking back in on AI. So we failed the high of the day. So 5-minute high or low formed. We failed the high of the day and we confirmed a 5-minute downtrend. So now we zoom out and we watch for the potential for a 15-minute high or low. What's the first indication that a 15-minute high or low is forming? The bulls need a 2-minute trend change back in their favor. And so the bulls are hoping that this bear break that we just saw lacks any follow through, because a downtrend confirming with zero follow through means zoom out for the potential of a flag on a longer term time frame. And right now the 15-minute is trying to shape up a bull flag. Request for GNS, all bulls on the morning. 2-minute uptrend. EMA 12 and higher lows all morning. If that shifts, I'll zoom out and watch for a 15-minute higher low. So again, this is what I'm talking about, where my time frames that I'm focused on zoom out through the morning. If this 2-minute uptrend is lost, we then look for a 15-minute higher low compared to the low of the day. Daily inside bar is certainly looking likely after the very wide range yesterday. We held the low of yesterday, but we're way far away from the high of yesterday. And our most recent couple bull breaks lacking follow through, so keeping an eye out for 15-minute consolidation to shape up. CCL, all bear on the morning. 5-minute downtrend confirmed, so our 5-minute downtrend is our guide. We broke the low of yesterday, and I'm viewing this as a high, low, essentially a double top. It was a higher high with no follow through. And we're now looking down at 1038 as the next key daily support level. But bears have short-term control, breaking the low of yesterday and in a 5-minute downtrend. Low of yesterday break doesn't have much follow through at the moment. So QQQ bulls are putting up a fight. They are not rolling over here just yet. We can see clear relative weakness in MARA and Riot, these crypto coins. But bears aren't going to go very far on those names unless QQQ sees a new low of the day. So the next trade that I'm going to be looking for from here later in the morning or midday is an hourly lower high on some of these weaker names, but only if QQQ bears prove to me that they are gaining their control. Aggressive Tesla bears are scouting the 5-minute lower high. May also be interested in a Riot re-entry for a 5-minute lower high or a 15-minute lower high. Although, the more we hold the low of yesterday, the more likely it's going to remain a tight range, which just means less opportunity and less volatility. But Riot Bears are still positioned well. They just have to see QQQ help. Checking in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a 15-minute equilibrium. That will definitely have an impact on the crypto stocks, the direction that that breaks. So again, as far as earnings are concerned, we've got this coming week, we've got Amazon, we got Meta Wednesday, and then Thursday is the big one with Amazon, Apple, and Google. So pretty much Meta and FOMC Wednesday, and then the rest of big tech names on Thursday. And again, that's going to really dictate these daily charts. So let's just zoom out for a moment. S&P 500. Is this going to be a daily high or low that then breaks weekly resistance? The reaction to the end of this week is going to dictate whether that happens or not. If it's a bearish reaction, it's a weekly lower high, and we'll look for a tightening range in February. BZFD, other AI name, is all bear. It's rolling over into some significant weakness. So we're watching for hourly oversold. It is a back burner. So let's just check in on that. Daily consolidation underway with the inside bar bear break. Next support is 242. And if we get to hourly oversold from here, the 15-minute will be crushed. The 5-minute will be crushed. I don't expect to just straight drop to hourly oversold because the hourly RSI is still 40. But if we hit hourly oversold and the 15-minute and the 5-minute are oversold as well, I scout a bottom fishing play. This low cap name is not something that I would scale into. The weakness, enter at 240 and 235 and 230 looking for the bounce just because it can get extreme. So the bit more conservative style would be watching for, a 5-minute stair step drop, and as soon as it breaks bull, I enter and put a stop under the low, something along those lines. But need another solid leg down into hourly oversold conditions for me to get interested there. Bulls are pleased with the morning here. We've got most things coming up green. We've got XLV approaching its high of the day, XLF holding on fine. QQQ Bears unable to break the low of the day there. New high of the day would definitely be a notable win for QQQ Bulls to keep their morning control. Let's check in on our futures charts. SPY, anything under 405.13 is an hourly lower high. So again, still a ways away, but bulls in full control of the morning. Dollar, was that a 15-minute bear flag? Nope, but it might be an hourly bear flag. So I'm open to bulls controlling all day, which is why I need the bears to prove to me. If I'm going to make bearish entries from here, I need to see some bear proof. I'm watching to see if QQQ is going to fail the high of the day or not. SPY just hit a new high. SPY is a potential wedge. My least favorite pattern, but definitely one that's worthwhile to get comfortable identifying. Megaphone. Broadening wedge or megaphone is what it is called. I prefer megaphone just to reserve the word wedges for rising and falling wedges. So right in MARA, scouting that 5-minute lower high. Netflix got a real nice tightening 5-minute range. Low of the day, high of the day, higher low, scouting the lower high. AI bulls recovered. 15-minute bull flag confirmed. Not much follow through on the new high of the day, but we have space for bulls to try and keep the short-term uptrend going. Again, when you confirm a downtrend with zero follow through, what's zero follow through? Well, we confirmed a break of 5-minute support, and it lasted all of one candle, less than one candle. So we break, and then from that point forward, it's a bounce. Follow through would be multiple red candles. Trend change with no follow through means zoom out and scout a flag. QQQ high of the day test. Tesla trying to negate the potential 5-minute head and shoulders, but it is does still have some space for a potential 5-minute lower high. If QQQ breaks the high of the day here with no follow through, I'll probably re-enter a riot short for the 5-minute lower high there. At this point on the morning, I get a little bit picky. Checking back in on the AI watch list to see if it is still just a one ticker show, and that is the case. Appreciate the likes and the shares in the YouTube world, public YouTube stream today. QQQ failing the initial attempt at the high of the day. We'll see if that leads to 5-minute consolidation or not. AI is testing 20 psychological. It's also possible where we could see an inside bar today on SPY and QQQ. So SPY's range from yesterday, 400 essentially the low, 405 the high. We are right in the middle. And QQQ right in the middle of yesterday's range as well. So the longer the morning goes on and the more that we trade in tight ranges, then the more likely daily inside bars are. And again, for me, that means pumping the brakes on a lot of trading, because we know the best trading opportunity is wide volatile days with a lot of pie, and a lot of pie for me to get my piece of the pie. But when we got an inside bar, there's limited range, limited volatility, and limited pie. AI is over 20. We got to find new resistances there. And again, anybody that's ever bought AI, aside from the last few months, still tons of bag holders. We were trading up in the 160s, 170s 2 years ago. So we're looking now at 2042 as a level. And we will need to eventually confirm a weekly trend change. This move is coming straight off the low, and we'll need the weekly uptrend to confirm for a long-term bottom to be set. All right, I'm going to wrap up the live stream. Appreciate you all tuning in. Not taking any YouTube requests today. Perhaps next time. We'll do an open house like this every month or so. And obviously, if you want more, check out the chart guys. We do this 3 times a day, multiple different people. I'm on the Monday through Wednesday crew. Otherwise, I'll see you in the YouTube videos. Have a great rest of your morning, and I'll be back in the Chart Guys chat room in 5 minutes. We got a couple more requests. One moment. Roku. Bull break on the daily. Definitely have to be cautious of a rising wedge. We broke bull into daily consolidation. Now we're breaking bull. Still an hourly uptrend, so that's the most important thing. And at this point, I would be looking for a 15-minute higher low. I like the clarity of the 15-minute time frame. So no major red flags, but the bulls just want to ensure follow through. The last thing they want to see is a loss of the hourly uptrend from here, which would definitely have us scouting a rising wedge heading into a resistance zone. Look at all this resistance, 59 to 62, which we are approaching. So still bull control, just a little bit cautious, need to ensure follow through. 15-minute higher low on watch in the short term. I don't see a 5-minute stair step pullback because we're not setting a lower high every 5-minute candle. We had a 5-minute stair step bull move that broke, but it's not a lower high every 5-minute candle. SQ, trying to regain a 5-minute uptrend. Bigger picture, daily inside bar. Resistance of 82.19, rejected the morning move. And bulls are trying to regain a 5-minute uptrend to defend the low of yesterday's support. If we confirm that uptrend, I'd zoom out and watch for anything under the high of the day to be a 15-minute lower high. And again, if we get 15-minute tightening ranges into midday, there's going to be a lot of daily inside bars forming. QQQ bull break, definitely a solid sign for the bulls to defend the low of the day there. We failed breaking the low of the day by 15 pennies into a new high of the day. And that's the bulls telling us, nope, we are not setting that hourly lower high yet. We're going to keep control. So again, that makes me a bit more patient for any kind of bearish entries because the bears are not proving enough to me at this point. Bull control continues, as does AI strength up towards 2048 resistance. All right, have a good rest of your morning.